Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss a poem, namely Kubla Khan, written by S.T. Coleridge. In my first video, I have read some of the lines of the poem, and now it is the continuation of the same poem, namely Kubla Khan. Today I am going to start from the line, "The shadow of the dome of pleasure floating midway on the waves." Now, when the river Alp is flowing through the caverns and reaching the down sunless sea, right? The shadow falls on the water, shadow of trees. I have already told you that there are incense bearing tree. So naturally the shadow of the leaves will fall on the water. Where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. Mingled measure meaning mingling music. Music or tune is being produced with the help of the fountain. Fountain is contributing to the music and also the caves. In fact, the fountain would not be able to produce such a sound without the help of the caves. The underground caves, the caverns are also helping the river to produce the combined music, and it was a miracle of rare device. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. Can it be possible in reality? No, it can never be possible. It is possible only in dreams, only in imagination, only in the poems of Wordsworth and Walter de la Mare. The place is sunny. How can ice be there? How can ice and sun, or sunrays be placed side by side? It is a rare device because the ice is there where there is so much sun rays. A sunny pleasure dome with the caves of ice. Look at the word exclamation sign. Even Wordsworth, even Coleridge seems to be wondering. It is mysterious creation. It is the creation of the mind. It can be only possible in imagination. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision on Saisha. Look at the breakthrough. The actual story Coleridge saw in dreams ends with the words caves of ice. Now he brings another story, another vision he once upon a time saw, and he makes some kind of collage, right? So, a damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It is another story, another vision. Coleridge saw a lady with dulcimer. Dulcimer, you know, all kind of musical instrument. And it was an Abyssinian maid. Got it? Abyssinian maid, and the maid, unmarried maiden, and she comes from Abyssinia, and on her dulcimer she played, singing on Mount Abora. The song of the lady with dulcimer was related to Mount Abora, but significantly enough, Mount Abora is inexistential, because you will not see such type of mountain in the earth. It is also a fictitious, or better to say, imaginary mountain, Mount Abora. Now, could I revive within me her symphony and song? Coleridge repents that if I could recollect her symphony and song with equal gusto, then what would happen? To such a deep delight, it would win me, meaning I would be victorious, meaning I would dominate the universe. if I could revive or recollect the songs and symphony of the Abyssinian maid. To such a deep delight it would win me, that with music loud and long, I would build that dome in air. Look at the competitive approach. Coleridge here wants to compete with Mr. Kubla Khan. Kubla Khan decreed that a pleasure dome should be manufactured. He took the help of the artisans. But Coleridge planned to build the dome of literature, the dome of art, out of nothingness. Meaning, he would build the artistic pleasure dome in the air. He would not take any kind of help from the artisans. In a sense, Coleridge wants to defeat, wanted. It is not possible now. He has forgotten everything. He could not recollect the symphony and the song of the Abyssinian maid. If he could recollect them, those songs and symphonies, then he could be able to build the pleasure dome, right? I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice. Look at the dream of the poet. He actually repents for being failure in manufacturing the artistic dome, right? And all who heard should see them there. All who heard should see them there. If the people would see the artistic pleasure dome made by Mr. Coleridge, then it would see, and all should cry. They would be emotional. They would not be able to take it easily. They would be terrified. They would be fearful. They would shout, "Beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair." Now here Coleridge projects himself as Apollo. Apollo manufactured the city of Troy with the help of his music, and later he came to this earth. And when he came, his appearance was like this, flashing eyes and floating hair. Coleridge here compares himself with Mr. Apollo. Now people would be fearful by seeing the godly figure in the form of Coleridge. If Coleridge would be able to manufacture this pleasure dome, weave a circle round him thrice. Him refers to himself. Meaning Coleridge here visualizes himself to be the godly figure, to be the artistic figure, to be the miraculous figure. If he would be able to revive the songs and symphony of the Abyssinian maid. Now it is full of imagination. It is nothing. If Coleridge would be able to do everything, realize his dream, then people would be affected like this, influenced like this. Coleridge has not done the miracle, so naturally the people will not be fearful. Right? So, weave a circle round him thrice. Look at the medieval superstition. In the medieval time, the people would cut the circle thrice so that evil would not touch them. The people would consider Coleridge to be evil being, to be divine being, to be supernatural being. That's why they would be out of the reach of Mr. Coleridge, and they would protect themselves by cutting the circle thrice. You know the word thrice, meaning three, always bears ominous significance. Ominous significance, and that's why the word round him thrice. And close your eyes with holy dread. They will be so fearful that they would close their eyes, and holy trade. Look at the juxtaposition of the opposite words. The holy is divine, dread is earthly. Meaning, the divine being, the word divine, holy, is being placed side by side with dread. For he on honeydew hath fate. He refers to Coleridge himself. The people who think that Coleridge is not an ordinary man, he is a divine being, he is a supernatural being, and he has fed himself on honeydew. Honeydew meaning ambrosia. Ambrosia, and drank the milk of paradise. Milk of paradise meaning nectar. Now, honeydew and milk of paradise refer to the artistic self. The artistic self, drinking which Coleridge has become so great a poet. It is normally believed that Coleridge had soaked with artistic sap, and honeydew and milk of paradise are supposed to be non-earthly food. So this is the poem Kubla Khan, and in the last few lines, Coleridge seems to be a prophetic poet. He prophesies that it might have been if Coleridge could be able to do this. Right? So thank you all, thank you very much.